honest with you about something? I'm scared. I'm scared of caring for my aging parents, scared to even have those healthcare talks with them. And honestly, I'm scared of trying to explain the benefits of cannabis to my mother. Let me tell you about my mom. She's a retired nurse who worked in geriatric and long-term care for over 30 years. As she steps out of her caregiving role, I'm stepping into mine. My biggest fear? That stigma will keep me from giving her the best care possible. My mom's fascinating. She's the nurse who administered medicinal cannabis to patients on doctor's orders and has seen the benefits of the plant. She's also the same person who opposes its recreational legalization. And this made me realize something. She's not against cannabis. She's worried about the stigma attached to it and what it would say about her if she used it herself. And this doesn't surprise me, because when I had to take a trip to the ER, the triage nurse asked if I smoked cigarettes, drank alcohol. I told her I consumed cannabis for sleep and anxiety. She rolled her eyes. Suddenly, it's not just about my care anymore. It's about my morals as a person. And if I felt judged, what's going to happen to my mom? So my mom likely won't consider cannabis as part of her healthcare plan unless a doctor prescribed it to her. And even then, she might resist. So I have my work cut out for me as her caregiver. But what if I were to tell you that progress in healthcare must include cannabis? Adding cannabis to healthcare discussions gives caregivers and patients more options on the menu to decide how we provide and receive care. And even though cannabis isn't a cure, it's a plant with medicinal properties that can help manage symptoms. And for us to have cannabis as an option, we need to know it's an option. And the only way to do that is by advocating for it. This means changing how we talk about cannabis with aging adults empowers us as their caregivers. So we need to start chipping away at that stigma. But how do we do that? I mean, how do we fight stigma, right? It's not tangible, it's a state of mind. I'm here to tell you we can address stigma. We used to live in a world where we thought stepping into therapy was weird and taboo. Meditating? Crazy. Now it's accepted. And that's not to say that the stigma with these practices doesn't exist, but we've definitely lowered its volume. So why not do the same with cannabis? There's no reason we can't do it again. But before we can envision a future in healthcare where cannabis is normalized and part of the discussion from triage all the way to treatment, we need to shed the stigma we carry. How do you feel about cannabis? What were you taught about it? And do you still carry that same stigma? Before I spoke with my mother about cannabis, I had to confront the fear and stigma indoctrinated into my mind. I recall the lessons at school about drugs. That conversation was taught to me by a fully uniformed police officer, and it was on the fight against drugs. It taught my generation to fear cannabis, to not talk about it, and just say no. There was no nuance in the conversation where you could only understand drugs on the extremes of negativity. And this forced me to categorize cannabis as a destructive substance. That pivot from fear to care is to have productive conversations around cannabis before our loved ones are in chronic pain, hospitalized, or at the end of life, pushing the need for symptom management options and to talk about care before it's too late. Keeping that door open for shared decision-making, because we still need doctors and care plans. Advocating for cannabis just means we have an option we can reach for that doesn't always require a trip to the hospital or a new prescription. This also gives caregivers and patients a sense of ownership. It allows them to decide what feels helpful. It gives them the autonomy to choose their dose, decide when and where to use it, and how it fits into their lives without shame, secrecy, or feeling they need permission to seek relief. Sometimes relief comes from knowing our loved one has an appetite, can sleep through the night, and can move around a little more freely. When it comes to me as a caregiver, the responsibility is something I'm scared of. But what I find truly terrifying is watching my mother struggle to eat, sleep, and get up from her chair. That's the most devastating part of caregiving. And if cannabis is a tool that can provide some relief and comfort during her final days, how can we exclude it as an option in caregiving? It's more important than ever for us to advocate for cannabis to be a mainstream option and to encourage our loved ones and medical practitioners to expand their minds. Because believe it or not, everybody has an experience with cannabis. Whether you've consumed it or not, you likely have a thought, an opinion, or a story with this plant. It's time we educated ourselves and changed whatever opinions we may have, because one day you may need it too. So let's destigmatize cannabis and be less resistant to the possibility of providing a better quality of life for our loved ones. This is the kind of care I hope to provide, the kind that requires lots of questions, a ton of research, and open dialogue. And that's where it starts, at your dinner table. And I don't mean by puff, puff, passing your joints to your grandmother, but by starting the conversation right now. Talking about care is more than just logistics and a responsibility. It's advocacy wrapped in compassion and love. And there are some things in life that are just better with weed.